What if one missile strike could change the balance of power in the entire Middle East? Tonight, reports are emerging that Iran has targeted one of Israel's most important military bases, a location that plays a key role in Israel's defense and regional strategy. But the real question is, was this just a warning shot, or the beginning of something much bigger? Could this escalate into a direct regional war involving Iran, Israel, and even the United States? And most importantly, what happens next? In this video, we're going to break down what actually happened, why this base matters so much, what Iran is trying to signal, and whether the region is moving closer to a much larger conflict. Let's start with what we know so far. The Middle East has been on edge for months, but recent developments have pushed tensions to a new level. Reports indicate that Iran launched a strike targeting a key Israeli military installation. While the full details are still emerging, the location being discussed is considered one of the most strategically important bases in Israel's defense network. Now, why does this matter? Because Israel's security system is built around a few critical military hubs. These bases coordinate air defense, intelligence operations, and rapid military response. If even one of these locations becomes vulnerable, it raises serious questions about the region's stability. But before jumping to conclusions, we need to understand something important. This strike is not happening in isolation. It's part of a much larger geopolitical chess game that has been unfolding for years. To understand why this moment matters so much, we need to look at the bigger picture. For decades, Iran and Israel have been locked in what experts call a shadow war. Unlike traditional wars, this conflict often happens indirectly. Cyber attacks, intelligence operations, proxy groups, and sometimes limited military strikes. Both sides try to weaken the other without triggering a full-scale war. But in recent years, something has changed. The confrontation has become more open, more direct, and far more dangerous. Israel sees Iran's growing regional influence as a major threat. Iran, on the other hand, views Israel as a powerful adversary aligned with Western interests. This rivalry has spread across multiple countries, including Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and even the Red Sea region. Each new confrontation increases the risk of a much larger conflict, and that's why this latest strike is drawing so much global attention. Now let's talk about the base itself. Why would Iran choose to target this particular location? Military bases like this are not just physical facilities, they are strategic command centers. From these locations, Israel can coordinate air defense systems, launch fighter jets, monitor regional threats, conduct intelligence operations. In simple terms, these bases act as the nervous system of Israel's military strategy. So when a strike is aimed at such a location, the message goes far beyond the damage itself. It becomes a signal meant to show capability, a signal meant to demonstrate reach, and sometimes a signal meant to test the response of the other side. But that leads us to an important question. If Iran did launch this strike, what could be the objective? There are several possibilities. First, it could be deterrence. In international politics, deterrence means showing your opponent that attacking you will come with serious consequences. Second, it could be strategic signaling. Iran may be trying to demonstrate that it has the ability to reach sensitive targets inside Israel. Third, it could be about regional influence. Iran's leadership often presents itself as a major power-shaping event across the Middle East, and actions like this reinforce that image. But there is another factor that cannot be ignored: the United States. Whenever tensions rise between Iran and Israel, the United States quickly becomes part of the conversation. That's because the U.S. has been one of Israel's closest allies for decades. American military bases are also located throughout the Middle East, which means any escalation could potentially involve multiple countries. However, Washington generally tries to avoid a direct war with Iran. Instead, U.S. strategy often focuses on diplomatic pressure, economic sanctions, regional partnerships. But if the situation continues to escalate, the United States could face difficult decisions, and that uncertainty adds another layer of tension to the situation. This is the question many analysts are asking right now. Is this strike the beginning of something larger? The answer is complicated. History shows that many major wars start with smaller incidents that gradually spiral out of control. But it's also true that countries often use limited strikes as controlled signals rather than steps toward full-scale conflict. Both Iran and Israel understand the risks of an all-out war. Such a conflict would be extremely costly for everyone involved, which means leaders on all sides must carefully calculate their next move. And that's exactly what the world is watching right now. If tensions continue to rise, the consequences could extend far beyond the Middle East. For example, energy markets could become unstable, international trade routes might face disruptions, global political alliances could shift, even countries far from the region could feel the economic and political effects. That's why governments around the world are closely monitoring the situation. Diplomats, military analysts, and policymakers are all trying to answer the same question. Is this a temporary escalation, or the beginning of a much larger geopolitical shift? In the coming days, several key developments will determine the direction of this crisis. First, we will see whether Israel responds directly. Second, the international community may push for de-escalation. And third, Iran's next moves will reveal whether this strike was meant as a warning or something more. Moments like this are often turning points in global politics. Sometimes tensions fade quickly. Other times they reshape the balance of power for years. Right now, the world is watching closely because the next decisions made by leaders could define the future of the region. So the big question is, was this strike simply a strategic warning? Or are we witnessing the early stages of a much larger confrontation? The situation is evolving quickly, and the coming days will be critical. But now, I want to hear from you. Do you think tensions between Iran and Israel will calm down? Or could this situation escalate further? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want clear, in-depth analysis of global events like this, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our next update.